Hi, beautiful souls. I'm Clara Lima, and this is Out of This World Show. My purpose is to bring the best out of the best ones. Let's evolve and elevate. What's up, guys? This is Clara Lima, and I'm here with the one and only Moe Falah. This is an Out of This World Show, and we have amazing guests today. I let him introduce himself because he has some incredible achievements. So let's go.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me so much. Excited to be here. My name is Moe Falah. I live here in Miami, Florida, the amazing city. Really the big thing that makes me passionate is helping other people lead better lives. I came from a life that I was surrounded by the wrong people, and being surrounded by the wrong people, you get involved with some of the wrong actions, and that led me to lead a worse life, and I decided to get serious. And I got off of all of the negative things that really controlled my life, and I took responsibility and ended up having tremendous success in multiple different businesses, and now I'm helping lead other people to live better lives for themselves.
What was the first time that you realized in your life that something might be wrong because you're not happy with the way you're living and you want to change it?
Yeah, so it was in 2018. It was coming into the 2019 year. I told myself that I remember when I was 18 years old, I told myself that I was going to be a millionaire by the time I was 25. And by the time that I was 24, I was nowhere close to it. And I took a look at my life and I was like, okay, what's happening? Because every single year I was going out and I was doing more than what I was doing before, right? Like my world is surrounded by business and entrepreneurship. So I was out and I was producing more income, but always at the end of the year, I was stuck and I was trapped and I was never able to just like escape this rat race, this hamster wheel. And I was taking a look at my entire life and I was like, okay, what are the things that I'm doing wrong? And if I really took a look at how my identity was, I wasn't really acting like the person who deserved to have it. I was on drugs, I was chasing women all the time, I was drinking and going out and partying, and you know, the city of Miami, it's an amazing city and it can give you everything that you want in a day, but it can also take it all away. And it was transitioning into 2019 and I was turning 24, and I told myself, like, if I don't get serious about actually, you know, what the actions and the behaviors that I do are, I'm not going to hit my goal. And I'm a very competitive person. And if I set goals, I like to achieve them. So remember, it was January 3rd, 2019. I smoked weed. I was at my brother's house. January 4th, 2019, I was in Los Angeles to go and start one of my first companies. And that was the last time that I smoked weed. And a year and a half later, I had over $1 million in my bank account. So I didn't hit my goal of 25. I hit it at the year of 26. But that's totally okay. I went from zero to having $1 million cash in my bank account in less than 2 years. And it's because I decided to get super serious. This world is filled with distractions and justification on why you can do certain things that don't help you. And a lot of people fall into the trap of thinking that, you know, maybe they can be successful while having these things hold them back. And I realized for myself that if I wanted to become successful in my life, I needed to go all in. And I was never, ever all in until that point. I was 90% in or 95% in. But it wasn't until I decided to fully commit that I actually made things start to work for me.
That's amazing. So basically, that's the power of sacrifice, because you felt like if you're going to sacrifice all these habits, you're going to get rewarded. This is one of the rules that really works universally. Once you sacrifice, you're going to gain. So in your case, it was drugs.
It was drugs, it was parties and women.
It was parties and women. So now you don't party at all?
No, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs.
But
very clean.
Do you ever go out to network?
I go to network all the time. Like we were just the other day, you invited us and we went out, got to meet some people, and it was fantastic. But no need for alcohol.
Exactly. I do the same. So I understand where you're coming from. Do you think it's manageable for people to go out and build successful business and don't drink? How is it manageable?
Oh, they definitely can, right? But it's going to get in your way. You know, like if if you're trying to go super, super fast, you just have to understand, like, for me, it was a very simple mechanism. It was, you have a goal that you set in place, and then every single action that you do is either pushing you towards it or pulling you away from it. So for myself, it was, if there was an action that I did that pulled me away from hitting my targets, I just didn't do it. So like, if you want to go and, you know, let's talk about fitness, right? Let's say that you want to go and you want to get a six-pack, right? If you're taking a look and you see the burger and the milkshake and you're thinking to yourself, oh, like, I really want that. But then you think, well, okay, what are my goals? My goal is to get a six-pack. My goal is to be super fit. Okay, that doesn't help me go towards my goal. So instead, I'm going to go towards this route. I'm going to do the chicken, the salad, the rice, the steak. So it's very easy once you actually are very fixated on what your goals are. It helps you say no to the things that don't actually serve you.
I agree with you.
And I want to go fast.
Right.
You could do it, but you could go faster if you didn't.
Correct. And I feel like this is one of the things that I see in our society where people are actually abusing the habits. They might seem like they have success and control, but sooner or later, the vibration which you have, the frequency, the habits, it's also very risky. You know, when you go out and you drink, you're risking your life when you're driving. You're risking other people's life when you're driving. And thank you so much for being a good example, because this is very needed here in the city of Miami. I don't know many people who don't drink in the city. It's all about parties. And so what is...
I'll say, right, like, some people come to Miami because they see the masses of entrepreneurship coming here. And a lot of people come to Miami because they see the party life.
Yeah.
And it's where you decide to put your attention is how you're going to grow. So the people who come here and they're like, wow, there's so many entrepreneurs, there's a lot of money, there's a lot of success, I want to go and I want to find that crowd. You'll find that crowd if it's your intention. But if you want to come here for the parties, you're going to end up finding yourself in a downward spiral.
Big time.
Yeah.
It's very easy here. Yeah. It's it says like that Miami can be the biggest gift and blessings, but if you're not focused, it takes you and chew you and spit you, you know? Yeah.
And that was Miami in 2018. I came to Miami in 2018, and I was I went to the party scene.
Okay.
Chewed me up, spit me out. I left to LA to go start the company, and I got out of this scene. And that's where I really learned my discipline. I learned I learned all the necessary traits. If I stayed in Miami at that time, I wasn't ready for Miami. You know, my identity wasn't strong enough. My character wasn't strong enough.
Yeah.
So I had to go get out of this place, get out of the environment, develop myself. Once I developed myself and I brought myself back here, like, it's very easy for me to be able to stay disciplined because my character traits and my identity has risen.
Absolutely, yes. Sometimes it's important in life to actually get ready for something, because if you come to an environment and you're not ready for that, you can be around the right people, right opportunities, but your character is not developed strong enough with the right habits and mindset. And that's what holds a lot of people back. So what is the motivation behind this? Why people would want to achieve, why they need to achieve something in life? Why do you think it's important?
You know, I think, like, you know, I think it's important because I think it's responsible more than anything. You know, there aren't enough people on the planet that are going for it. And individuals such as yourself and myself, we need to be the example for others that show people what's possible if you actually went after it. You know, I you know, for my background, right, like, I didn't come from a wealthy family. Our family, we were on welfare. Government was paying, you know, our family checks to be able to help survive. You know, nothing really special. I wasn't ever taught that you could be successful, that you could, you know, go out and accomplish whatever you wanted to accomplish. And it wasn't until I got inspiration. I saw somebody else who was doing it, and I was like, wow, if that person can do it, why can't I do it? And I'll say, right, like, it's an important thing for a person to go and become successful. And if we're going to talk about money, because if you have money, you can actually make impact. You know, some people say, like, you know, money doesn't buy happiness. And I think the people who say money doesn't buy happiness, either A, they've never had it, or B, they don't put it into the right places. Because if you can, one of the greatest feelings that I have is donating. When I go and donate, and I remember one time in 2022, I took 40 people from my team. We went to Peru and we spent about $50,000 to go help build an orphanage in Peru. And we were
That's
actually,
beautiful.
we donated the money, we flew out there, we helped build it. It's like, that was sheer happiness. And you can't do that without money.
Yes.
So money may not in itself buy happiness, but poverty buys nothing.
Yeah.
You know, you can't help or impact a lot of people unless you're Gandhi or Jesus or Mother Teresa, and you go into a movement like that without money.
Correct. So basically, you found a way how you balance spirituality and kind of like a high vibrational mindset with prosperity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what is the keys? Because some people, they, as you say, they think money is bad.
Mm-hmm.
And they tend to be spiritual too much.
Mm-hmm.
They don't pay any attention to the actual physical world of prosperity. And some people, they're just all about business without actually paying any homage to the spiritual world. They don't operate. They just, as you say, they can, you know, operate highly and high success for many years until it hits you if you don't have the right habits. So what is the right balance? What is the right routine to create the balanced life where you prosper, but you still stay humble and connected?
I think, you know, one of the big things is you have to know like what you're doing it for. You know, money in itself isn't bad. Money is just simply a tool. That's all it is. And so you have good people who have money, and then you have bad people who have money. Bad person who has bad money, somebody sees a bad person who has money, they're going to say, oh, money is evil. But then you see somebody who is good and they have money and they do good with it. So I think like one is understanding like what are you doing it for? I'm a big believer of writing down your goals and knowing what direction you're going to go. So like I write down like I donate X amount of dollars per year to charities, to organizations, to human rights movements. I help X amount of people. I, you know, help X amount of families. I do this. So for myself, I think it's more about like looking outwards. I think a lot of people are fixated and stuck with the 6 inches that are around their body, and they don't think outwardly. Like I care less about myself than I care about mankind. You know, I'm just one person, and one day, you know, my body's gonna die. I'm not gonna be on this planet anymore. But if I can go and I can impact 1 billion people's lives through my efforts, that's far more important than just myself. So for myself, I just think like, how do I make the biggest impact possible and help the most amount of people as possible? That for me is very spiritual. For me, spiritual is not focusing on me. It's focusing on you. It's focusing on other people, focusing on the city of Miami, being a beacon of light, being a beacon of hope that can give to others. I think for me, that to me is spiritual.
That's beautiful. That's basically being in service.
All service.
Humanitarian, being in service. Yeah. So that gives you like never-ending good karma and sense of purpose. Because you create it daily, right, with your actions. Yeah. You know, that was one thing I tried to figure out many times, like how to give with, you know, give like really not waste, but gift, not spend, but really gift from heart. And I feel like the heart, when you're giving with your heart, you can never ever lose because you're giving with your heart. So the heart energy, it kind of like secures the good karma. It creates the good karma. And it's not, you know, there is, for example, some politicians, they give just to gain something for themselves. So it's like an act, right? It never creates the same result. Is if as you go to Peru, you say Peru, right? And you create something for the kids from your heart. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
It's really beautiful.
I mean, even with the show, like you're giving a lot. Like you're doing this from your heart, right? You're giving this and you're bringing on people to come and share a message that can inspire hope in other people.
Yeah, it's all about the message for me. That's my life. Like I always share a message. Because I feel like message is something that words are so powerful. Even writing. Writing is the most, and words is the most sacred art and most powerful art. Because, you know, when we see like the holy books, how much power they have. Books in general is a certain frequency. What you read, what you listen to, what you say. It's a certain frequency. It creates your life. It can literally do so much, you know, with your words.
Well, you're right, because like, and I think you're right. It's like it has to be written down, because just a thought is nothing except for a thought, right? So thought, let's say you have a thought come in. Thought is in the spiritual world, okay? And then, but nobody can actually see the thought except for
Mhm.
yourself. Maybe you can see it. So you have a thought, it comes in, you're like, okay, let me go ahead and take this thought and manifest it into words. So you write it
Mhm.
down. Now you can actually see it. So it's actually real to you. And it's
Mhm.
real to you. I can write it down here. Let's say I am helping 10,000 families every single month. I write it down here. But if it's my thought and I don't communicate it to you, you can't see it. It's written down. Now it's real. I show it to you. You can see it. I can see it. We can both agree it's real if it's written down, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So now there's more reality. We have shared reality on this thing. And then we can actually go and put actions behind that intention to go create it into the physical manifestation of what happens in the world. So it's like without it actually going from thought to writing to implementation, it doesn't happen. If you want to build this building that we're in, somebody had the thought of building this building. They drew it out on a schematics. They had an architect come and take a look at it, and then they put intention and enough people behind it to actually turn it to this building that we're sitting in right now. So you have to be able to take this energy from, you can call it the spiritual world, whatever you want to call this. For myself, it's very spiritual. So I have thoughts come in, and then I take it. And that's why it's so important to have things written down, because it's not real until it's written down and you can actually look at it.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. It's like a half of manifesting the reality if you write it down. Yeah.
It's a wish. A goal that's not written down is just a wish.
Correct. Also, one more thing that really works is like a therapy with writing out.
Mhm.
What doesn't is called shadow work,
Mhm.
right? Like I do that a lot. When you have a lot of unwanted thoughts, or you go through healing that you need to overcome some trauma or some pain, it's really good to write it down
Mhm.
and burn the paper, because it's like releasing out of you.
Mhm.
Because this is like it's a duality in this world. Everybody has some darkness, some light in them. And this is how you remove the darkness, that you transform it to the paper.
Mhm.
And you tell the paper everything that you want to tell the paper, and then you just burn it, so the fire takes all the energy, because you don't want that to manifest.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of ways how you can self-heal and manifest through writing.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible. Do you have any other manifestation techniques besides writing?
No.
Just writing.
Yeah.
It's writing.
Just writing. Yeah. And then when you write in first person, and you write as if it's already happened, like present time. Like before I became a millionaire, I wrote like I am a millionaire by age 25. When I was 18 years old, I was writing I am, because like I am is the highest form of beingness. I am. So everything I write is I am, or I do, or I have. So I speak about the things that I want to accomplish as if I'm already living that. And so it just helps me, it helps guide my actions throughout my daily life. That's the only thing that I do for autosuggestion.
That's amazing. That's beautiful. What about words?
What about
What
words?
about, do you speak it into existence too? You don't speak it into existence.
No,
It's just writing.
I write it out.
Okay.
Yeah. I share it with others,
Okay.
right? Like I'll share it with others, but I don't like go in the mirror and like say like, I am amazing, I am excellent. Like that's not what I do, but I will communicate my goals with other people. I am vocal about my goals.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. I actually do the mirror technique. I write on the mirror with the red lipstick, and it's so powerful. I feel like everybody has, the mirror is also like the portal to the new reality. Do you have any fear ever?
Today?
No, fear. If you ever, like, how do you overcome fear? But because as an entrepreneur, you're gonna take risks.
Yeah, I mean, like, what's the alternative? Like, what's the alternative if you don't take that action? Like,
Failure, I guess, right? Like
but
procrastination.
Yeah, but all failure is psychological except for death. Right? Like like until you die,
Yeah.
everything else is psychological.
Yeah.
But people who have become successful have failed more times than the amateur has ever even tried. Right? Like, you've probably failed hundreds of times, thousands of times.
Of course, yes.
Right? We all have.
Yeah.
But it doesn't prevent you from going. But every time you fail, you learn something new.
Yeah.
And failure is the most dense source of information and learning that you can find. You can read 100 books, but you can do an action and fail and get punched in the face by the universe, and you're going to learn more from that than reading 100 books.
Yes. I feel like it's a very strong programming from schools when people go through traditional educational system. They teach you that for failure, for mistake, you're going to be punished.
For sure.
And it's so deep-rooted in people's mind that they're like so scared to fail that is holding them back from the actual beauty of the journey.
It's done on purpose.
Right, of course.
It's intentional.
Yeah.
They want, the society wants slaves and workers
Yes.
and people that they can tax consistently and that work for the machine, and they don't want people to be
Evolve.
free thinkers.
Yes.
That's why they tell us, I was thinking about this the other day. That's why they tell us, I don't know about in Czech Republic, but here in America, they say it's rude to talk about money, politics, and religion. In America. It's a
Really?
very big thing. They say, don't talk about money, don't talk about politics, don't talk about religion. But those are the three main topics that get people to be free thinkers. And then the news tells people what to believe, how much money that they should make, money, religion, politics, and what politicians to vote for. So the news programs how you should believe, because if me and you were talking about money, politics, and religion, we'll have so much free thought that once we see something that's on the news or on the media or whatever, we're going to be like, well, me and Mo had this conversation and our beliefs are a little bit different than that. So they try to trap us into thinking the way that they want us to think. That's how they have control over us.
Yes. I believe that because basically so how do you think is the best thing for a person right now that is going through, let's say, was stuck somewhere between being in a reality they don't like and a big dream? What is the first step they need to do to break the trauma bond with their old identity? How do you do that? Because it's all about identity shifting, right?
Correct.
It's about like, okay, who is this person who sits here, and why this person basically what she or he needs to do to evolve.
Yeah. So it goes to identity, exactly like you say. So a lot of people have this thinking of like, first I have to do this, and then I will have this, and then I will be this, right? First I have to do these actions, and these actions will allow me to have this outcome, and if I have this outcome, I will be this person. So the shift has to be from do, have, be to be, do, have. First you have to take on the identity. So your identity has to change. First you decide who you are. I am whatever. And a lot of times you need inspiration. So go and find the person that you want to be like. Like find an inspirational mentor, find somebody who you're like, I would love to be like this person. And then study that person. Find out what their actions are. Find out how they operate. Find out how they treat other people. Find out who they study. Look at everything that person does, and then start to replicate those actions. So if it's a person, that's for myself, it was Grant Cardone. Grant Cardone was a huge mentor for myself. I was like, okay, what are the things that he does on a daily basis? I looked at all of his actions. I started to replicate those actions. So first I took on this identity of be, and then I did, and then I started to have more, right? So identity comes first. Character development comes first. In our business, when we hire people, we only hire based off of character traits. We don't hire based off of skills because skills can be trained. We don't hire based on belief systems because we help people break their belief systems. We hire based on their character traits, who they are as a person, and oftentimes we still have to help them improve those.
What is the most greatest character traits a person can have to succeed?
Grit. If there is one thing, grit is like never giving up, never stopping, always going. That's the number one. It's a character trait. Yeah, it's just never giving up. If you do not quit, you cannot fail.
Correct. It's the ability to wake up and keep going no matter what is happening. It's like the self-motivational fire inside you.
Yeah. I have this tattoo on my side right here, and it says, success consists from going from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm.
Okay, that's beautiful. Yeah. It's like something inside that doesn't let you stop.
Yeah.
No matter what is happening.
No matter what. And once you break free from the trap, it's impossible to go back. Once the mind expands, it's impossible for it to revert back to its original form. And exposure will help with a lot of that. And like one of the great things that you do here is like you bringing on guests on here, and other people are getting exposed to new ideas, new information. Their mind can't go back to their old way of thinking. They now have new ways of thinking, and they think, wow, like maybe that can be me. Maybe I can do that myself. Maybe this isn't just meant for, this type of person, this type of person, this type of person. It truly can be achieved by anybody. I believe that anybody with enough anybody with enough intention, with enough discipline, and with the right information, they truly can achieve anything that they want.
Absolutely. Do you think destiny is written or we create it?
We create it.
We create it.
We create it.
There's
God gave us enough.
Right.
God gave us enough.
Yeah.
Like just being alive is a good enough gift. We don't need more from him. He gave us everything that we need, and it's quite disrespectful to God to not go out and be the best person that you can be.
I agree. So you have to give God back.
Yeah.
Through the talents he gave you.
Yeah. You know, I was listening to this mentor one time, and he said, and he's a Christian man, and he says, the way that he views what hell would look like is if he died and he's up and he's sitting there with God, and God shows him two images. And one image is the person who he could have been. His name's Ed Milet. This is the guy. So Ed Milet, he's a very big motivational speaker, successful entrepreneur. He says, what hell is for me is that if I were to die and I were to meet God, and he shows me a person, and that person is who I could have been if I gave it my all, and I don't even recognize the person. And heaven would be that he's a mirror image of him, where in this life he actually took all of God's blessings and he took action on becoming the best version of himself. And hell would be he doesn't even recognize the person who he could have been.
That's a beautiful analogy. That's really beautiful. Yeah. What advice would you give to a person right now in business and in 2024? What is the best thing to do about business? Because you succeeded in service-oriented business. You help people, correct? You do insurance, right?
Yep. Life insurance, yep.
Life insurance. If somebody's trying to get into business right now, wants to be entrepreneur, where to start?
If somebody has never been an entrepreneur before and they want to get into entrepreneurship, the first thing I say is that you should actually just go work for somebody and go into a sales position working for somebody that can help show you the way. Because first, you need to develop skills. So before I went and became an entrepreneur, I worked as a salesperson for multiple different companies, and I went and learned from mentors. So the first few years of my business was me going and learning. It was just learning. And then once I learned the skills, I then went ahead and got started with it. So find somebody that you believe in. Find somebody that shares similar principles and values to you, because that's tremendously important. Being aligned with the right group is more important than how much money you make. And then once you get in with that group, get connected with the right mentors, learn as much as possible. You'll make great money if you do that, and then go off and start your own business.
That's inspirational. So what it takes to be a good leader for you? Like, how do you manage to be a good leader? Because a lot of people, they want to be a CEOs. They want to lead. What is the difference between boss and leader?
So boss is somebody who just tells you what to do. A leader is a person who actually does the things. So they're leading from the front and they're not leading from the back. They're showing up every single day and they're working harder than the people who are under them. There should never be a situation where somebody is, let's say, below a person inside of an organization and they're looking up at their leader and thinking, man, that person doesn't do as much as I do. Why are they in my position? Why are they in it? Why are they in that position? So you have to lead by example. I'd also say that, like, for you to become a leader, first you have to become a follower. So you have to have something that you follow, whether it's a previous leader, whether it's a leader in, whether it's a leader in your faith, whether it's a mentor. So you have to be a good follower before you can become a good leader.
What is the challenges for a leader, the biggest challenges of your caliber? Because you lead a lot of people.
The biggest challenges of a leader. I think the biggest challenges of most leaders is... That's a really great question. I think one of the biggest challenges of most leaders is not properly defining what the culture of the organization is, and then bending what the culture is to be able to allow for revenue to come in. A lot of people are very motivated by money, and many people will sacrifice on culture so that they can bring money in. But we at our, like, for example, at our company, we turn away anywhere from 80 to 85% of the people who apply. Now, these could be people who could be great for, adding revenue to our business, but we have a very high standard of who we allow in because we have to keep our group safe. My job and my responsibility is to keep my people safe. And if we bring in bad people into the organization, it's going to spread like a cancer. Mm-hmm. It's going to come in, it's going to be toxic like bacteria, and it's going to get to everybody. So my job is to set the rules of the game. What are the guidelines of our business? I am very selective of who comes in, but even more selective of, I'm mostly selective of who we come in, and I just have to keep that culture safe. I have to keep the group safe. Because if we just keep great people inside of the group will grow. Only time that groups fall and statistics drop in a company is when we bring the wrong people in. Mm-hmm. There are oftentimes a lot of people in their business, they have people inside of them that are actively pressing the brakes. Mm-hmm. And they just don't cut them out. And one of the hardest things is cutting people who you build emotional relationships with. And so in business, the only place for emotion is in celebration. I learned this from a mentor. His name is Brandon Dawson. And he says, if you run your business based off of emotions, you're not going to have a business that lasts a long time. You can't be emotional about business. Business is logical.
Correct.
Business is formulas and statistics and agreements being kept. It's not operating how you feel. It's operating on what does the right thing for the company.
That's a very good point. And that also makes me, do you think everybody can be entrepreneur, or some people, they just, because, sometimes I think about, like, everybody has a different sort of talent, like, mm-hmm. But one of my most successful friends, they kind of hold very well balanced between being business people and between being creative people. Mm-hmm. I believe that's very important, because if you're just an artist, mm-hmm. without any business behind, and you're just emotional, you can mess a lot of things. On the other side, if you're just strictly logical person without any creativity or sense of, like, being a little insane, mm-hmm. that it can happen, like big dreamer.
Yeah.
Then you're going to go very slow also, because the logic is going to hold you from achieving the bigger things, mm-hmm. because you're going to justify everything logically. Mm-hmm. So where is the great balance to be a little creative and artistic, and at the same time organized and logical more than emotional, because that's the key to success, correct?
Yeah. So you asked two different questions here. So one is, like, can anybody be an entrepreneur? Mm-hmm. Yes, if they dig deep enough, but most people don't dig deep enough. I believe everybody actually has it in them, but most people don't go deep enough to pull it out. And more so than just dig deep enough, most people don't want to take the sacrifice. It requires a ton of sacrifice. Correct. I was with my brother one time. I was with my brother a few months ago, and he's also an entrepreneur. He's in the logistics business, so he has 10 semi-trucks. He, does freight all around America. And we were talking about entrepreneurship and the struggles, and he said a really funny quote to me. He said, I wish entrepreneurship upon my worst enemies. Mm. It's, it is a very, very difficult thing. It's, some people say, I want to become an entrepreneur so that I can, work my own hours and I can work less. When you become a real entrepreneur, you're working more than anybody else. So I think that anybody can. Most people won't, and I don't think most people should. Some people are better as a second or third person in a business. Some people are better working inside of the company than being the face of the company or the grower. The second question that you asked about, like, the artist versus the business person, I am an artist.
Yes.
But business is my art.
Correct.
And so an artist, truly at their core, is a person who's able to take an idea and communicate a message so other people can understand, right? So the best artist, even, let's call it a painter, right? A painter takes a thought and a message, and they communicate that to the world through how they draw, right? Musicians, artists, right? They communicate a message so other people can receive it. In business, it's the same thing. So the best business people are artists, and individuals that actually have very high IQ are typically, there are statistics that show that the higher the IQ, the actual less likelihood of their earning potential. People who have higher IQs typically make less money than people with lower IQs. because people with higher IQs, like you say, they overthink everything. They see the 15 different consequences and all the things that can go wrong. And with lower IQ, such as myself, we're just like, oh, fuck it, let's just go. And we don't really care. We don't look at. We see 1 or 2 consequences. The people with high IQ, they see 15 and they see too much risk and they don't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fear.
Yeah.
It's fear.
And lower IQs, we're like, we're just too optimistic. We're like, or we see fear and we're like, whatever, we're just gonna go anyways.
I think it's amazing. Try to be overly optimistic. That's
You
what
have
takes
to
you
be.
really far, like being delusional almost.
Yeah.
It's great. People underestimate that. I'm not talking completely delusional. You have to have some sense of, okay, this is the actual sort of reality and this is where it can go, right? If you're too delusional, you can't go far either.
I'm completely delusional. Entirely.
But, okay, you are completely delusional,
Entirely.
but you have a strong foundation to be delusional on.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Sure.
Right, exactly. So you actually do the actions.
Yeah.
You do the actions, you have your habits together, you hold some routine, you're responsible.
Mm-hmm.
You can be delusional.
But you listen, I was delusional before I even am who I am today.
Mm-hmm.
Like anyone who has big aspirations is delusional. And the truth is that the pessimist is more right than the optimist.
Correct.
Far more right. But the optimist just has to be right one time.
Correct.
The optimist can have 40 different things that they try, and on the 41st try that they do something, they can hit it absolutely big, and they'll disprove every single pessimist. Thing is, not most optimists, because if you're an optimist, you never lose the optimism. But most people will go to try number 40, and they'll be like, man, maybe the pessimist was right. And they won't do try number 41. And try number 41 is where all the gold is. Mm-hmm. It's all right there. You know, there's the story of the 3 feet from gold, right? So it's really, you have to have sheer optimism despite the universe trying to stop you. The bigger your purpose, the bigger the barrier. If you want to do something huge, the greater the universe is going to try and stop you. It's like, it's really funny. Like when a guy gets into a relationship, we're going to talk about like dating and girls for a second here.
Okay, talk to me, man. Talk to me.
So there's this interesting phenomena that happens when a guy is single. It's almost like girls don't want the guy. And it's more difficult for a guy to get a girl or whatever. But as soon as the guy gets with the girl, tons of girls are around and they're all available. And the guy's like, well, where the hell were you like 2 months ago? And you now have a purpose of being in a committed relationship, and then you have barriers come in, which are these other girls, these other temptations trying to get to you, because you now have a greater purpose. But when you're single, it doesn't really matter, so there's no barriers. So same thing that happens in business. When you have a really big target of something that you want to achieve, the more you're going to get hit with a setback. You're going to have cancellations, people mocking your name, whether it's a lawsuit, people saying you can't do this, family members getting in your ear saying, oh, you shouldn't try that, you should do something that's more safe, this. Like every time, for every single person in history, they've always had people try to suppress them. And the people who try to suppress them, first of all, they do it out of care and love because they think that they think that it's better for them to play it safe. But also the people who hate on people who are successful don't actually hate the people that are successful. They hate themselves for not pushing hard enough because they knew that they could have been that if they actually tried.
That's a beautiful saying. Yes, it's very true. People, sometimes when you're pressed by family and friends, everybody's telling you can't do that. The people, they don't hate you. They don't do it because they don't believe in you. They just don't want you to get hurt, and they cannot see themselves in your vision, of course, because nobody has your vision.
You have people that hate on you, right?
Of course.
Yeah, like when you launched this, you probably had people that hated on you, right?
To be really honest, like I have a lot of supporters. Like I used to have so many haters back then. Because I was very rebellious. Like I was the most controversial person.
I love it.
Especially for my country. Like I came to America and I say, fuck that. Like, I'm gonna do all the surgeries like the American girls have, and I'm gonna look the way I wanna look. I'm not gonna be normal, traditional. I get all the tattoos. So I was like, I have to do something extra because in show business, that's the first thing people gonna see as a controversy. You're gonna go farther
For sure.
if you stand out. So that was kind of my strategy, you know, and a lot of people were against that. Like, oh, it's too dangerous, don't do this, don't do that. And always, like, of course, I always have girlfriends who tell me, don't do the next thing, don't do this, don't do that. This is bad for you. But always, you have to really do whatever you want and whatever your intuition is telling you that's the good thing for you. Because at the end of the day, this is your life. And if you're going to be listening to other people, you will not go very far. Everybody has their opinion, their vision, their insecurities. A lot of men and women around you, they can look like friends, but they're like kind of like secret. I would not say secret enemies, but they can be just really people who are there to suck your energy because they admire you, they're looking up to you, but they don't really like you. Because you're triggering their insecurity. And that happens every day in business world, in show business. I'm not talking about the closest friends. I'm talking about public, about people we are around. You always have to stand so solid in who you are, what is your next step in action, and what you're doing, no matter what people think or say. Because I failed on it before. When I was listening to people what to do, what not to do. I was held back so many times by other people's insecurities. Then I listened to it and it got me frozen. And then I realized, you know what, I can't blame nobody else than me because I listened to some nonsense. And I should have known better.
It's a great responsibility.
Yeah, you
On
have
you.
to know everything is you in life. There's no other people's fault, you know, like if you get challenges in life that you can't control, like in my case, it was like, you know, a loss of loved ones. This is something you can control, and eventually everybody is going to experience that, right? Like a great loss, or there can be a very traumatic childhood. There's a lot of people who go through, let's say, sexual molestation. When you're a child, you can control these things, you know, and you have to eventually learn from that and maybe make it your life purpose that you're going to be helping people who went through that to heal them, you know. Like, I feel like there's always a greater sense in every single attack against you, or it can be betrayal or challenge or life pain, you know, as just the ability to see the light and the darkness. Why this happened, what is the learning, and how can I extract the light out of it and give it to others, because that's called the sense of life, right? It's the purpose of life to do something that is in service to others. Even if you're becoming a monk, you can still be inspiration for somebody by your deep meditation. Somebody sees you and they feel the frequency of peace and you inspire them. So whatever you choose to do, it's always good to, besides you, think about like how can it serve others somehow else. Like you have to
all about service.
Extend yourself somehow.
It's
and
all about
whatever you do.
It's all about service. And the thing is like a person who hasn't experienced things that you know, let's say, you know, you talk about sexual molestation, for example.
No, I didn't experience.
No, I know, but but you're communicating about this, right?
Yeah.
You're more relatable. If somebody who has experienced that, you're more relatable, and because somebody experienced it, and when you communicate that, it's like, wow, I've actually been there as well, and the message is more impactful. You know, like somebody who's, you know, every movie that you see the person, like the hero's journey. It's not like they start the movie and the person's already the hero. It's a boring movie. It's the person starts off in a really poor condition, and through the end of the movie, at the end of the 2 hours, they become a hero. And that's what's inspirational about the movie. It's because you start from here and then you rise up. The story's boring if everything is already given to you when you first start. It's a boring life.
It's a boring story.
It's a boring story, right?
Yes.
And so it's like the climb and the journey and going, like, I'm so grateful that I came from nothing. I'm beyond great. Like, I couldn't even imagine my life if I was born into wealth and prosperity, and I couldn't even imagine my life like that. Like, I love the fact that I had to struggle through all of the lessons that life had to teach me to become who I am today.
Yeah.
Because you can take away everything that I have, but just allow me to keep my character and my identity, and I will go out and conquer this world again. Like, but strip me from my character and I'll lose everything.
Yeah, because it's all about inside you.
It's all about that. Yeah.
Everything that you have inside will manifest outside. So it's all about the knowledge.
It's all about that. Yeah. And then like a few things you mentioned like that I think are like important is like, one thing is like, you know, you had a lot of these people telling you what to do, what not to do. I learned at a really young age is that you only take advice from people you trade places with.
Always.
Only. Because otherwise they don't know. They don't know where you're going. They don't know the direction. And so they can't give you good advice. So the reason why you got frozen, possibly, is because you just listened to people who didn't know what they were doing. Bad advice, but your intuition is like, this doesn't make sense. But if you had somebody who was, you know, exactly where you wanted to go that says, hey, Clara, this is what you do, you'd be like, okay, cool. And you would just listen. But so it's so important that you are aware of who you take advice from. And then all these people that like are hating or telling you not to do this, one, they're not doing anything themselves. So you're in the arena fighting and they're just in the stands. And then there's never ever going to be anybody who's doing more than you that will ever hate on you. Ever. Only people who are doing less than you or aren't doing anything at all are going to try and bring you down.
I agree with that.
And the best thing to do is just flourish and prosper. Your success will make them miserable.
Yeah. That's very true. Yeah, that's very true. Like, revenge is a very low vibration, honestly. Like, I never, you know, I'm a Scorpio, but people always think about Scorpios, they're revengeful. But I feel like it's a really big waste of your energy to try to put your time and effort and energy into something, into hurting another person. Like, I feel like everybody's own actions will eventually come back to them, so you never have to worry about anything. Just about really yourself, what you're doing with your life, right?
Yeah, just put your attention on the things that are going to help you grow.
Yeah, exactly.
Like what you know, like what you put your attention on is going to grow. What you focus on the most, you're going to attract the most.
Yeah,
You
very
know?
true.
So we focus on good and only good.
How was, a little bit back to the past as well, I want to ask you one more question. How was the actual last day when you were on drugs, when you were partying? I'm pretty sure there was this moment when you looked around and you said, what the fuck am I doing? Was it like that? Or you had some breakthrough that was like more drastic, dramatic?
I was sitting on the balcony and like I already made the decision before I was going to stop, and I was like, all right, I'm just going to do this one last time. Because I just really wanted to hit my goals. I'm so competitive. Like, I just didn't want to fail myself. I told the younger version of myself that was 18 that this is what I would do. And I didn't want to let that version of myself down. And so, you know, I was moving to California. I was going to a whole new environment. And it's very, very positive for a person to change their environment. Like, you know, I think one of the most important things that allows a person to grow is to leave their hometown. Right? Like, if we're here in America, if somebody's in, you know, Cleveland, if you move to Boston, or if you move to Memphis or Nashville, or you go to Austin or Dallas, like, leave your hometown and get rid of everything that's around you, because a lot of times people take their environment and they make their environment part of their identity. And as soon as somebody can get out of that environment, they can now be like, all right, I'm here. I can leave all the bullshit that I did behind, all the bad habits, all that, leave them with the old people, leave them with the old city, leave them with everything. I get to now decide who I'm going to be in a new city where people don't know me, and I can really recreate myself. And so I think it's such an important thing to leave your hometown, and then that's a great moment in time where you can recreate yourself. And that's what I did when I left Miami. And so I was in Miami. I went to Toronto to visit my family, and then from there I went to Los Angeles. When I moved to Los Angeles, that was the moment where I just decided, like, okay, I'm recreating myself. And that's when I went all in.
In LA.
LA.
Do you like LA?
No.
You don't like LA?
No.
Why?
LA's crazy. Drugs, homelessness,
Yeah.
all the, crazy politicians, the taxes, I don't like the whole entire LGBTQ plus movement, the transgenders, the changing, telling 5-year-old boys that they should be women, putting.
I'm on the same boat, man. That's too crazy.
Yeah, a 13-year-old is in class and they can't pay attention, and they're like, oh, the person has ADD, and they give him Adderall, and the reason why the 13-year-old boy can't pay attention is because he has hormones and he sees a beautiful girl right next to him and he's thinking, wow, this girl is really beautiful, and those are just hormones, and they try and put him on drugs so they can suppress the hormones.
Yeah.
And then they control people. So California is the most messed up place in America, and you see it in the society and you see it in the people. So I just needed to get out of that.
That's interesting perspective. I mean, I never lived there. I went there for vacation.
Cool place to go visit.
Yeah.
Go see Malibu,
Yeah.
go see the coast, all of that.
Yeah. I love San Diego.
San Diego's nice too.
I love it. I feel like that's very different than LA.
Yeah, and San Francisco's even worse.
Yeah, is that?
San Francisco.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
San Francisco's messed up.
Yeah.
It is the most disastrous place that I've ever been.
And people say that. There is a lot of drugs in San Francisco. It's out of
Everywhere.
control.
Out of control.
Why do you think it's that? Why do you think it's so many drug addiction in the United States? Because it's tremendously different than anywhere else.
Yeah.
I noticed that in my country is very bad, but you don't see what you see here.
Well,
you don't see that.
For sure. Well, the American Medical Association is funded by the pharmaceutical companies. And so the pharmaceutical companies want everybody on drugs. And because if somebody's on drugs, then they're going to have a customer for the next 80 years. Hospitals employ more people in America than any other industry. And so people that are put into the hospitals get to keep their jobs based on the amount of people that they keep in hospital beds. So it's an entire business. So they want people to be sick. And so pharmaceutical companies come in and try to prescribe as many people as possible drugs. They influence school teachers and their actual principals that are a part of schools that get bonuses based on number of children that they actually are able to put onto drugs. So there's monetarily incentivized to get people addicted to drugs and get them hooked on drugs. And they tell people you have ADD, you have depression, bipolar disorder, this, all of these different things that, one, they don't have. They're just growing up and becoming an adult. Where the alternative is, eat beef, get sunlight, do some exercise, go outside, get some breathing, fill yourself with oxygen, drink water, avoid alcohol, avoid this. If you just do all of that stuff, you're going to be cured of everything else. But there's not a single doctor in America that's taught to do that, because the American Medical Association is funded by Big Pharma. But you go to Europe, you go to South America, all these other countries, first thing that they do is hey, stop eating this, get some exercise, go on a walk, get some, but in America, it's not like that.
Yeah, it's not like there's a huge business here. And, in order to actually be healthy and survive, you have to be so educated and dedicated. You have to. Because I feel like I keep seeing they just creating new and new ways how to hook people and addictions in form of sugar, fast foods. The propaganda of alcohol is so strong here. Is literally accessible everywhere, anytime. You see all advertisement for that. And it's as I said, I'm from Czech Republic. To us, it was the most normal thing to drink, right? We get with friends, we get wasted. And you can be poppin', successful person. Everybody does that there, But even I feel like it's just a culture more than that is pushed. Here, everything is pushed. And even the whole thing about how to mindset people in fear, or because I observe a lot words, advertising, stuff like this, what they use. I see all the time hey, are you stressed? Eat cake. It's the worst mindset you can have. Are you stressed? All right, eat cake, sugar, get fat, and then become obese. All right, you're another client for diabetes. So it's a cycle, so you have to really be educated, and if you want to change your life, as you say, look up to examples of people, because the real key is to eat healthy, stay away from things that really mess your mind. Like, I feel like really alcohol is really the worst one.
It's huge, yeah.
It's like so bad for you on every single level. It makes you black out. It ages you. It makes you lose yourself.
It's a toxin.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really bad one. So, having the right diet, staying away from fast food, like staying like always from fast food. Like, people should not even do cheat days or exceptions. They should just never eat it. That's the key, And yeah, go ahead.
I mean, what's worse than all of that is not just necessarily like being surrounded by like all of that, it's being surrounded by the wrong people.
Yes.
Like people are worse than alcohol.
Yes, I know. It's frequency too.
People are worse than alcohol. That's why, if you see people that like go like do the rehab thing, right? Like if somebody wants to go to, let's say someone's on drugs, they'll take them out of their environment. Let's say somebody's in Baltimore and they're on drugs and they want to go on a treatment. They'll move them from Baltimore and they'll put them into a facility in Malibu or Hawaii. Beautiful, awesome place. And they get off the drugs and they're feeling great. Everything's awesome. And then they go back into the same environment that they were in before, and all of the triggers that were inside of that environment kick back in, and the person gets back on it. So oftentimes it's the people that you're around that cause you to get into the bad habits. That's why one of the things, Miami's ranked the happiest city in America.
Yeah?
It's ranked the happiest city in America.
Okay.
And the number one reason and determinant why they say it's the happiest city in America is because 80% of the population exercise at least once a week.
True. It's a fitness culture here, big time.
Let me ask you, when you came to Miami, did you get more fit?
Yes.
Yeah.
You have to.
You have to. You
like,
have to keep up with the environment. Like the environment here in Miami holds you accountable to become healthier.
Yeah. If you don't hear, I mean, people not going to respect you.
They,
I don't
they
care
don't
how
wanna
superficial
They
it
don't want to
sounds.
hang out with you. They don't
Yeah.
want. Yeah. The environment here holds you accountable to get healthier, which
Yeah.
is an amazing thing.
And looking better, I mean, like, it goes together with the lifestyle, right? People are much more dedicated here. It's a normal thing to go to the gym. This is why I love it here, honestly. This is one of the reasons why, it's the same like Sydney. I lived in Australia before. And Sydney is the same thing. It's so amazing. People, they just work out, exercise, go to the beach. It's even more healthy than here, much more, because it's Australia. So it's like people, they just, do breath work. They don't wear shoes. They don't wear any shoes. It's like completely connected with nature, and they look incredibly healthy. Like their skin, their aura, their hair, it's incredible. They don't even look like normal population, They look so healthy. And it all comes from the lifestyle. You don't really see, unless somebody is real, has like real psychiatric issues. There is so many things to be healed by good lifestyle.
100%.
So many.
100%.
Good sleep.
I think that any person who has been diagnosed with any sort of mental disorder, I believe that with a healthy and active lifestyle, 100% of people can heal their problems without the use of drugs.
Absolutely.
I believe that.
Yeah.
100%.
Me too.
And it's going to be hard, especially if somebody's been on them for so long and they're going to go through serious withdrawals. But if you can make it past that, you will lead and live a happier and better life.
Yeah. I love the withdrawal that I went through because it made me feel my strength. I went through alcohol withdrawal before. When I stopped drinking, it was like 2 weeks of hell. I was sweating, like I had a real alcohol problem.
Oh, yeah.
So I was sweating, and I had to eat a lot of carbs because I was shaking, sugar craving. It was crazy. I was like, wow, such a poison I put in my body, So then you start to heal and it feels amazing. There's no better feeling. And once you go past through weeks and months and 2 months, 3 months, then you don't even want to go back to that because you're like, why the hell you would go to something so disgusting, the version of yourself. And then, so, when people sometimes ask me, oh, but I want to drink once a week. And I said, well, you're not even near of the ideology of being sober because that's a gift. You should never want to go back to something that is destroying your life. That's not called balance. That's called that you're going to be, a dry alcoholic for 6 days. And 1 week, if you make it with willpower, you can drink. You're going to go back to the same mind cycle. And then you're going to be dry alcoholic for 6 more days. It makes zero sense because you're not going to be recreating the version of your highest potential.
Yeah, and like, if somebody says like, I'm not a drinker, it's an identity. I'm not a drinker.
Yes.
It's your identity, right? Like, I'm not on drugs. So somebody who says I'm not a drinker, it's like they don't drink ever.
Yeah.
Because it's identity. That's why I remember I said I am is the highest form of beingness. It's the highest form of identity is I am. So I'm not a drinker. So your identity is not a drinker. So why, if a drink is passed to you, then you go, no, I wouldn't drink it. That doesn't match and fit with my identity. That's why it's be, do, have, identity first.
Yeah, I agree with you. Also, it's like when you were saying the right environment, I feel like the next step is that also, because I used to kind of suffer with this, that people try to drag me into the old me. But the next stage of that is like you have to actually inspire people to get better. It depends where they are with their development, because some people, they don't want to get better, and it's okay, because everybody has their own journey. You can never force or help people they don't want to be helped.
And oftentimes on that journey for yourself, you're going to have to cut people off that used to be, people, maybe growing up or whatever, people used to be assets, but once you try and step into that next stage and they try and hold you back because they don't want to see you change, those people become liabilities. And, if you're talking about a business, when you have a liability on your balance sheet, you cut off that liability so that the business can grow. Same thing with people. You're going to try and grow and go into the next level and version of who you are, and those people want to see you stay who you used to be. And oftentimes you don't even like that old version of yourself, especially when you're experiencing growth. They're going to try and hold you back. And, I've had to cut off a lot of people who I used to be friends with, because if I stayed connected with them, I would have had a string that would just pull me back into the past. I didn't want to be pulled back into the past. I wanted to go forward in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Here, what do you think makes people succeed or lose it? Because here in this country, it's such an extreme. You either really fail and end up as a junkie, or you make it, or you live a regular, normal life. But what do you think is the point why people actually get? Because we talked before about the homelessness in San Francisco, LA. I always wonder, why is so many people with this issue over there? What do you think it is?
It's like we're not taught anything. Here's the thing, right? Like, a person becomes the information that they get. That's what a person becomes. You have certain information, and then you take the information and you apply it. You'll become whatever the end result of what the information is supposed to give you. We're never taught ever, like, I don't know about in Czech Republic or in Europe or anything like that, but in America, we're never taught anything about money. We're never taught about the dangers of drugs. We're never taught about what it takes to be successful. We're never taught financial management. We're never taught any of that in the schools here. We're taught, algebra, and we're taught, English history, and we're taught, social, just stuff that like really doesn't actually help a person in present time. Like, I've never had to use algebra in my life, ever. So I was taught information that I can never actually put into practice. So it kind of makes a person more dumb. Like, why would you learn something that you can't actually go and apply? Like, it makes you more dumb.
Yeah, and also makes you very unfocused.
Yeah.
If you look at the structure of education, I always thought about it, that everybody has a different talent. Somebody who was a great painter probably will never be a great economist, because the brain is wired differently. You use one hemisphere more than the other, and once you're a genius painter, why would you want to be an economist?
For sure.
God will give you the economist so you can be rich on the top, a rich painter. That's how universe works. But the point is, like, I feel like so many different topics and subjects in school, and it's 45 minutes, then you have a break. 45 minutes is something else. And then you're rated, like, with everybody else, like, how do you perform? And, one thing can be really, you can be a genius singer or a painter, but the rest is just not their journey. So they're gonna call you, oh, okay, so you're a loser because you succeed only in two things. And then it can really kill your natural talent, your ability to believe in yourself, because you believe that you were not good in school, so you can't succeed in life. And the tragedy is when you have parents who don't actually know this, who are just parents who only teach you what they know, and they trust the teachers they don't see through the school.
Like my children will be homeschooled.
Of course,
My children will
that's
not-
the only way. Yeah.
My children will not go to a public
Yeah.
school at all or a private school.
Yeah,
My
because
children will be
it's
homeschooled.
disaster. Like the kids around, you can only control as much as you can at home, right? Imagine like the kids come there and they give you the ideas of becoming another gender. It's insane.
It's totally
it's
insane.
insanity. And it's like I feel bad for the kids. We did not have this when I was, growing. It was normal.
Me either. It was
Yeah.
like it was, if
Yeah.
you were gay in my school, like everyone was like, they'd look at you weird when I was growing up. Today it's like if you're straight, you're a weirdo. In a lot of, in California, if you're straight, you're a
Yeah.
weirdo. If you're gay, you're cool, you're popular, we love you, you're invited to every party.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, if you were gay, it was not like that.
Yeah. I don't necessarily have I have so many gay friends and stuff.
I don't
but-
have a problem with it either.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying there's a very different shift today than when
that's-
I was growing
yeah,
up.
it's so different right now, like especially when it comes to what really bothers me is the kids stuff, what they're teaching 2 years old in kids. I went one time on YouTube Kids to just type what is out there for kids, right? It's so many material about becoming another gender. It's so scary.
Yeah, there's this book that's circulating. You could probably look it up in it's like a 4-year-old's book, and it's called The Gay BCs. Every single letter has to do something with like transgender, queer, homosexual, like all the, and it's designed to. And again, I don't like somebody wants to choose whatever thing they're born a certain way. Totally fine. Like I have no problem with it, but it's like. You can't be teaching it to a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
If somebody's an adult and they want to go do whatever the hell they want to do, no problem.
Yeah.
But a 4-year-old, all their brain is doing is learning and developing, and they're
Yeah.
learning how the world should work. And then you're giving them a path that goes down this that, quite frankly, will probably lead them down a bad path later on in their life.
Yes.
And then to unlearn that stuff
Yeah.
is even more difficult.
It's confusion.
Tremendous.
It's really confusion. Yeah.
I think it's the reason why, Donald Trump gets so much hate.
Yeah, I love Donald Trump.
I love Donald Trump.
Yeah.
I think he's going to save the world. I think Donald Trump is going to save the
Yeah.
world. The reason why he gets so much hate is because him and RFK and Elon Musk and the whole entire and Vivek and the whole entire group that he's bringing together, they're going to expose all of this stuff. RFK, he Make America Healthy Again. He wants to get rid of all seed oils inside of the foods. He wants to literally tackle big pharma and get rid of big pharma in America. He wants to make the children healthy again. That's
It's beautiful.
yeah, and I think that's
Yeah.
why they get so much hate, because they're going to lose all of their control.
Yeah.
They're going to lose all of their control. That's why it's so important. I'm very vocal on my social media about hey, you need to get right now we have 2 weeks until this election. And this is the most important election globally of all of our lifetimes, because this is going to set the trajectory of where this world goes. It's going to set the trajectory of where this world goes.
What do you think is going to win?
I think Trump is going to win unless they rig the election again. Yeah, the last time Trump won, but they definitely rigged the election, 100%. They rigged it. So I believe that Trump will win unless they cheat.
Yeah, I believe so too.
Yeah.
He deserves it.
He does. He's an incredible leader.
Incredible leader, incredible businessman.
He's never drank a day in his life.
Yeah, he's a smart man, right?
He's never drank a
knows
day in
why,
his life.
yes.
Yeah.
It gets you really focused. It keeps you focused. This is why I'm so passionate about talking about anti-alcohol. I'm just releasing a book right now about sobriety. It's a
Excellent.
sober guide, because I want to show people that it's possible to be, happy and sober. When I was not sober, I could not even imagine that, because you're trapped. It's a cycle. But sober life is so much better.
Happier.
Happier.
I'm so much happier now that I'm off of drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
A million times
You have
happier.
a light,
I have
that
life.
shines.
Yeah, yeah,
life
yeah.
and light, and you're you have a high vibration. You never want to go back to that stuff. And the sad part is people, they will never understand how they can really evolve until they will do it. You don't know the version of yourself yet, so you just have to go for it to achieve it.
Yes.
Yeah,
1000%.
yeah. Do you want to say anything else?
I've enjoyed this. This has been great.
Okay.
Anything else I want to say?
Yeah.
I just think that the last thing that I want to say before I leave everybody off with is like, I know that it may be difficult. I know that it may be a challenge. I know that you might be in these patterns that you've adopted over a very long period of time. And unless you decide, it comes to a decision, unless you decide to break off from that pattern, you will continue to live this last year over and over and over again. If you aren't happy with how the last year of your life has been, understand that if you don't change your actions on a daily basis, what did I say?
If you don't change your actions on a daily basis.
Yeah, if you don't change your actions, you're going to continue to repeat the same 6 months over and over and over and over and over again. So you will continue to repeat the pattern until you make a decision that you want to recreate who you are, and really you get to create whatever life that you want if you want it bad enough, and you can. I did it. I know hundreds of thousands of people who have done it before, and you can do it too.
That was beautiful. No, thank you so much. That was beautiful because I could actually relate to that so much. It's a cycle, and people, they just need to break it, and they need to believe that it's possible, like universe and God will help you if you want to. If you really want to change, you will get all the help and support. It's possible. Like, people, they need to see more people that overcame drug addiction, alcohol addiction, all kind of addictions, and rise to the top.
Yes.
It's very important to never lose hope and faith inside yourself, and just keep going, and
ask for help when you need it.
Yes, exactly.
Like you're not alone. Like, you are not alone. There are a lot of people who want to help you. Like, reach out for help.
Yes.
People want to see you win. People want to see you succeed.
Exactly. I agree with that. It can take 10 or 20 failures before you actually get sober. It can, like, I tried to get sober so many times before, and there's a process. It's a really process, and you cannot give up even if you relapse again. You just have to just do it again. And eventually, more you dig into the door, right? More you knock onto the door, one day the door will open for you. And
the big thing is, like, don't set it as like, okay, I'm gonna go and be sober for the next 70 years of my life. Like, you just have to be sober today.
Yes.
Just one day at a time. I just got to get through one more day.
Yes.
Just one more day. Like, 50 years may sound like it's a long time, but can you go today without a drink? Yes. Okay, cool. The next day comes. Okay, man, like, can I just get through today? Yes, I can. Just the power of one more.
Yes. And then always say thank you. Thank you, you know?
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, because I feel like divine, or it's not what I feel like. I know that the divine is actually giving you the invisible strength to go. So many things has to be synchronized in order for you to even sit here or be here or be able to speak. It's all gift.
Absolutely. And we're meant to be exactly where we're sitting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was amazing.
Oh. And if you can please give your social media as well, so people can follow you.
Yes. My Instagram is @Falah.
Here.
This one?
There's one.
All right. My Instagram is @Falah the Leader. It's my last name, Falah, the Leader. And on YouTube, it's @Moe, Moe Falah.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys. This was the amazing Moe Falah, the successful entrepreneur that overcame so much. This was Out of This World Show with Clara Lima, and I'll see you soon. Bye.